So I wanted to talk about one of my favorite subjects, which is heart-mind coherence. Now, this subject's an interesting one because it was made famous by Dr. Joe Dispenza, who's written quite a few different books. He's a scientist that has studied the effects of meditation on the human body. And he came up with this concept of where when you meditate, you create what's called heart-mind coherence, where your heart and your mind literally work together. They work as one. They're in harmony with one another. And the cool thing about heart-mind coherence is that when you're in heart-mind coherence, it's impossible for you to be in a fight or flight or stressed out or crazy mode. And the truth is that heart-mind coherence is what you end up attaining when you meditate. Okay, so it's one of the benefits of meditation is that you usually automatically get into that heart-mind coherent state. And that state has so many benefits. However, the way that heart-mind coherence has been taught is missing a major component that's not really talked about. And so that's one of the things that I want to discuss in this video. And I also want to show you the quickest and the easiest way to get into that state, regardless of whether you're meditating or in your day-to-day life. So, firstly, let's talk about the brain, okay? I personally do my best to not use the word mind when I'm describing the brain, okay? Because there's a huge difference between the brain and the mind. The mind is really technically encompassing your whole entire body. And the mind is really made up of, your actual earthly existence is really made up of 4 levels, okay? We have the physical, we have the mental, we have the emotional, and we have the spiritual bodies, okay? And that to me is the mind, okay? And the best way for me to explain that is because when you look at trauma and you look at the ailments and illnesses and things that we get, it's throughout the whole entire body. As a matter of fact, when you have certain trauma or certain emotional trauma and abuse and things like that, depending on the emotion of it, depending on the experience of it and how you internalize that negative, the negative emotions and negative impact on that, it actually affects different organs in the body. And that is actually where the cellular memory is stored. So as an example, the liver is where anger is stored, okay? And so it's really important to differentiate the mind from the actual brain, all right? Because the brain itself is what allows you to maneuver and function in the physical world, okay? So it allows me to take action, it allows me to move. It is also what's responsible for interpreting through the 5 primary senses, interpreting my experience, right? And when it actually interprets those experiences, like for instance, when you see something through your eyes, it's actually neutral, right? It's actually neutral as far as the physical interpretation of it. Now, the emotions and the thoughts that get assigned to that are usually based upon our memory, right? Our previous experiences will then potentially trigger a certain response and reaction to that stimuli, to that experience that you're having. Now, the interesting thing about the brain is that the brain actually consists of approximately 86 billion, with a B, billion neurons. Okay, and the neurons are responsible for firing the synapses, and it's the actual sort of like the intelligence behind the functionality of the brain. And look, I'm not a scientist, I'm not a doctor or anything like that. If you want to find out more about that and go deeper into the neuroscience of the brain, you can do your own research. But there is a misconception out there as far as how emotions and the role that the emotions play, and also the role that the brain plays when it comes to your healing and dealing with trauma. And the big misconception is that the brain controls the emotional body, and that is absolutely not true at all. It's the exact opposite. The emotional body is what impacts and controls the brain. So that was brain number one. There's actually 3 brains that we have. So let's go down to the next brain. Brain number 2 is the heart. Now, interestingly enough, the heart has approximately 40,000 neurons. Now, I know compared to 86 billion neurons, that's a lot less neurons, but there is intelligence behind the heart. And interestingly enough, the heart actually has 2 sort of primary functions, or 2 primary ways in which it impacts our physical body and our physical experience. Number 1 is that it is the epicenter of our emotional body. So the brain is the epicenter of our mental body. The heart is the epicenter of the emotional body, but it's also the epicenter of our spiritual body. So it actually has a dual function. It's, for a lack of better words, metaphorically speaking, it's where the soul can speak and shine through your body. So when the soul is connected to you and communicating to you, it communicates through the heart, through the passion, through the feeling of love. And that's why the heart is the epicenter of love, of unconditional love. And that's our true natural state of being, is to be in that unconditional love. So when we experience negative emotions, that is coming from trauma that already exists inside of our body. The blocked energy that's in there, the blocked emotions, energy in motion that wasn't felt, that wasn't dealt with, or wasn't able to be processed and allowed to be given expression when we received non-love, which can translate into trauma and abuse and non-loving experiences that we have. So it's really important to understand, so that when those 2 work in harmony, then of course you're going to be more aligned, because the heart actually overrides the brain. It can actually regulate the brain. When you're in heart-mind coherence, you can't have that monkey mind stuff going on. It just won't happen. The monkey mind stuff happens when negative emotions and negative cellular memory is triggered, and the brain starts reacting and responding to that, and it starts going wild and crazy. And it's because it's in survival mode. It's in fear mode. It's having a panic attack maybe, or whatever else. It's in a state where it's not being fed and it's not connected to source. So what is the third brain? And the third part that's missing from this concept of heart-mind coherence, or more accurately, heart-brain coherence? Well, what it is the gut. Now, interestingly enough, the gut is scientifically known to be the third brain. The heart is the second brain. The first brain is the brain in your head. And the gut actually has approximately 500 million neurons in it, all scientifically proven and has been discovered. And that's the missing component. So the function of the gut, for those that don't already know, it's your internal GPS. It's where you get your gut feeling from. It's where you're able to know whether something feels good or it doesn't feel right, so you know to avoid that. So it helps with the decision making. It helps with guiding and navigating us. So when you're creating the heart-mind coherence or heart-brain coherence, it's really, really important to be aware of the gut. Now, the truth is that when you are in heart-mind coherence, usually you will get connected to the gut, usually, but it's not a guarantee. And we'll talk a little bit more about how to create heart-mind coherence, but I want to talk a little bit more about the gut. So if you think about it, your soul, your higher self, speaks to you through your heart, through love, through passion. Your gut allows you to then make choices, better choices, and to guide you on your path to expressing who you truly are, who you were born to be, and allows you to be connected to that and to navigate the quickest and easiest path to that process. And the brain is responsible for making it happen in the world. So when all three of those are working in harmony, you are literally connected to source. You're connected to who you truly are. You're connected to your higher self, to your God self. And that's why meditation is so powerful, because that connection happens between all three of those brains. But the truth is, there's intelligence throughout your whole entire body. It's just that there's greater concentrations of intelligence in these three areas. Now, the interesting thing about these three brains is that the quantity of neurons do not determine the impact. As a matter of fact, the brain is subservient to the heart and to the gut if you're in alignment. And so you want to create that heart, brain, gut coherence all the time is ideally what you want to, and you want to maintain that, because then you're connected, then you're in alignment with everything. And that's when you create the synchronicities, that's when you create the miracles, and that's when you create greater ease, grace, and you get into that flow state. And you can get into that heart, mind, gut coherence when you're doing creative stuff, like art or music and all of those, the artsy type creative pursuits and endeavors. Because if you think about it, when you're painting or you're drawing or you're writing or singing and all of that, it's feeding your heart, it's feeding your soul, and you usually feel more at peace and you usually feel your heart. So how is it that you create heart, mind, gut coherence? Very, very simple. Obviously, I've already mentioned one, which is meditation, but there's a key component, the gut, that no one really talks about much. The easiest way to get in tune with your gut is to breathe into your gut. It's as simple as that, really, honestly. The truth is that a large portion of the population actually breathes into their chest. And our natural state of breathing is gut breathing. And I actually have a video that talks about breathing into the belly. But what you want to do is you want to be able to be breathing into your belly. So if you realize and you notice that you're actually a chest breather throughout your day, then you want to go and watch that video and you want to become a belly breather, because that will automatically allow you to get in tune with your gut, with your intuition, that gut feeling. So to create heart-mind coherence in or out of meditation, all you need to do is you just need to breathe naturally into your gut, and that's physically, right? And then as you're breathing, when you breathe into your heart energetically. So you're actually breathing into your heart energetically, but physically into your gut at the same time. So you put your attention and your awareness to your heart, but you breathe naturally into your gut. And that automatically puts you into the heart, mind, gut coherence and creates that unified, peaceful, connected state. And that's the state that you want to be in all the time. And so all you need to do is just throughout the day, check in. And when you start feeling like you're getting stressed out, or you're starting to panic, or you're feeling anxiety, or you're feeling depressed, and you're feeling like you're off, stop. Just stop whatever you're doing and see what's going on. And you can just start breathing into your gut, putting the emphasis on breathing into your chest, into your heart, so you can feel the awesomeness in your heart at the same time. And you'll find that your brain and your mind will just start quelling, and your emotional state will start calming down, and so will the monkey mind and the fear and the panic and the anxiety and whatever else that might be going on. Such a powerful tool, and it's not just reserved for meditation, okay? So that's one of the reasons why I love that topic, because not only is it so powerful and there's so many lessons to be had in understanding how the body and the physiology of our physical form works, but it's such an easy thing to accomplish. And you don't have to be meditating in order to find that peace and that calm if you are able to naturally breathe into your stomach while focusing on filling your heart and putting the emphasis on your heart as far as your thoughts. And then those three brains are all working as one, and technically your whole body actually works in synergy as well. So I hope you enjoyed this, and please comment and let me know if you understand these concepts. If you've already been practicing this stuff, let me know how it's helping you and benefiting you. And it's great for other people to be able to read the comments and see what other people are experiencing as well. But it's magical, right? It will impact your life in so many ways, because it's how you create the synchronicities. It's how you create the miracles in your life, and it's how you actually raise your vibration. And the more you raise your vibration, the more your outer world will reflect those higher vibrational states. You'll create more love in your life. You'll create more positivity in your life. You will create more positive circumstances and situations and outcomes in your life. And that's worth it to me. So thank you so much. God bless.